What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we're going to be talking about the potential of Ground War coming to Vanguard in Season 2. Now of course, a big thing to keep in mind with this video, these are all based on leaks, and therefore you have to take it all with a grain of salt. This is all data mined information though, so this is stuff that's actually found within the game code. So it's definitely likely that we're going to be seeing this, but things get scrapped and reworked and changed all the time, so there's no official guarantee at this point. Also, of course, I'm not going to be showing any of these leaks throughout the video, because that could get me in trouble, obviously, so I am going to be leaving links down below. I don't know how long these leaks are going to be staying up or anything, but if they do get taken down, I'm sure you can search around and find them somewhere. And without further ado, let's just dive right into it, and let's talk about Ground War. Now, when I say Ground War, I'm referring to the Modern Warfare 2019 style of Ground War, where it's played on different maps from the regular multiplayer. It's a much larger scale map, and each team has their set home spawn points on either end of the map, and those spawn points never flip. Those are also safe areas where enemies are unable to pass into your spawn zone, like your home spawn zone at least. And then presumably the game mode that would be played on this is a domination style game mode, but with 5 flags instead of just 3. Also, of course, this would be a very high player count mode in relation to regular multiplayer. Now, the leaked image of a Ground War map that I saw for Vanguard looks like it's taking place somewhere in the Alps. It's a very snowy map. There's a castle right in the middle, and then there's several other sorts of points of interest between the castle and each of these spawn points. And it's also worth noting that in the Season 2 promotional image that was also leaked, it looks like there's a motorcycle as well as tanks in this image. So that leads me to believe that this is in fact coming in Season 2 and not in a future season, because why else would they put tanks and a motorcycle in there? Because we're likely not going to be seeing that in regular multiplayer, but we would see vehicles like that in Ground War. Because in Modern Warfare 2019's Ground War, we had tanks, we had APCs, we had all kinds of vehicles, and I assume we'd see something similar with a Vanguard version of Ground War. And who knows, maybe they'll even be reusing the models for the vehicles from Caldera, from Warzone. So we might be seeing like a Jeep in there, as well as an anti-air sort of cargo truck, and potentially even planes, because Modern Warfare's Ground War had helicopters to get around the map quickly. Perhaps we'd see those planes from Warzone coming into Ground War as well. Now, if they did, I kind of hope they don't have any guns attached to them and they'll just be used for transportation only, because that could be a little bit annoying to deal with. But I guess we'll just have to wait and find out when it comes to that. But yeah, overall, based on what we can see, it looks like it's going to be heavily based off of that Modern Warfare Ground War mode, and not the War mode from COD World War II. I know many people have been asking for a War mode to come to Vanguard, something that's much more linear, where you sort of move from position to position across the map. One team's attacking, one team's defending, and then you swap sides after a round. It doesn't look like that's going to be what we're seeing, and instead, it looks like it's going to be more the Modern Warfare style of Ground War. Now, when it comes to this, some of the hopes that I have, assuming this is coming, is first up, I do hope we see a similar spawning system to Modern Warfare's Ground War, where you actually have control over where you spawn. You can either spawn on one of the flags that your team is currently holding, as long as it's not contested, or you have your squad mates. There's a squad of 4 players, and you can spawn on any one of your squad mates, as long as, of course, they are alive on the map and they're not currently in combat. As for another big hope of mine with this Ground War mode is, assuming they do have tanks on these maps, which it seems very likely, I hope there's some good counterplay to the tanks. I still have very bad memories of playing certain Ground War maps in Modern Warfare where there'd be a position where a tank would just set up there and they'd just be picking people off throughout the entire match. And it could be really difficult to get them out of those positions, especially if they had a good squad around them that was actively protecting that tank. As for another big hope of mine with this Ground War mode, and something that I feel was really lacking with Ground War and Modern Warfare, I would love to see, at least down the road, multiple modes being added so that you can play these maps in different ways. As much as I loved Modern Warfare's Ground War, that was actually one of the few experiences within Modern Warfare that I enjoyed, I found that it got stale fairly quickly, partially because it was a limited map rotation, which is to be expected with such large maps. I wouldn't expect to have like 20 of those available or anything. But it was primarily due to the fact that there was just one single game mode in Ground War. That was the mode. It was that domination style mode with 5 flags, and there was no other way to play those maps. What I would love to see Vanguard do, if they are bringing this style of Ground War in, is add some other modes that can be played on the same maps. Maybe something that's a little more linear. Maybe make an attack and defend style mode where you start on one end of the ground war map and the attacking team has to keep pushing the enemy team back by capturing objectives or planting bombs like Rush, for instance, in Battlefield, and working your way from one end of the map to the other. I think that would be really nice. Or maybe a momentum style mode where you're capturing a point and you can push it in the direction of the enemy spawn, but they can also do it pushing it back toward your direction. I think there's so many different opportunities for different modes on maps with that ground war scale, and I just never felt like Modern Warfare took full advantage of that, and that's the primary reason that I sort of fell off with playing ground war in Modern Warfare. It just got stale too fast. And with that, I do have another hope, but I'm also interested in hearing what you guys think about this down below. One of the things that I liked from COD World War II's War Mode was the fact that that mode had no impact on your kill-death ratio. And what I found with that is people had a much better tendency to play the objective hard, because there really wasn't much reason to be camping and trying to inflate your kill-death ratio, and it wouldn't hurt your stats at all if you ended up in a situation where you just simply had to throw your body on the objective in a last-ditch effort to try and get it moving forward. And I think that idea could potentially work well with Ground War too. Just make it so it has no impact on your kill-death ratio stat in your combat record, because I know a lot of people really care about that, and I feel like this would open that mode up for a lot more objective play, and it would also create a non-stressful environment to be leveling up and using guns that aren't the greatest. Maybe you've got a particular gun you've been putting off because it just sucks in regular multiplayer without any attachments. In Ground War, there'd be very little stress around this because it has no negative impact on your stats if you perform poorly with that as you get it leveled up. Now, I know not everybody cares about kill-death ratio equally, but there are plenty of people out there that do care about that kill-death ratio stat, and they don't want to be putting themselves in situations to lower that, so offering this environment where it has no negative impact on that, I think that would be great. And with that, those are my primary hopes for Ground War with Call of Duty Vanguard, assuming it is coming. Honestly, I think Modern Warfare had a really good start with Ground War, and if they basically copied and pasted that formula, and of course brought in some brand new unique maps that are designed specifically for Ground War, I think this is the type of thing that could potentially bring back a ton of players that Vanguard has lost. At this point, I think no matter what they do to the regular multiplayer experience, if they fix every single issue that the community has, I still think it would be too little too late, and so many people have just made up their mind. They are hard set that Vanguard is a trash Call of Duty, the worst Call of Duty ever made. And again, even if they fixed literally every issue that those players had, they still won't come back and they'll still call the game trash. However, if they were to add this Ground War mode in, this is like playing a totally different game, and that's why I liked it so much in Modern Warfare, because I didn't like the rest of the game. So I do feel like this is something that could potentially sort of save Vanguard and renew a lot of the interest and the hype in the game, assuming, of course, they execute on it properly and they don't launch it as a complete mess. I think this is the type of thing that would even bring a lot of Warzone players back over to the multiplayer side, of course assuming they already own Vanguard, because I've noticed a lot of Warzone players are getting more and more frustrated with Warzone. They're dropping off, they're losing interest in the game completely, and they're looking for something else to play, and this could potentially be that perfect alternative, at least until the next Call of Duty game comes. So there we have it. Those are my thoughts on Ground War potentially coming to Vanguard. I honestly feel like this is one of the best moves they could possibly make at this point in the game's life cycle after how it was received after launch. And normally I'd say that I wouldn't want them to spread their resources too thin by branching out in too many different directions. But since we already have a ton of content with Vanguard from the launch of the game, I think this is much less of an issue compared to games like Modern Warfare, where I do feel like they spread themselves too thin. But with that, this is where I want to hear from you guys in the comment section below. What do you think about the idea of having that Modern Warfare style Ground War mode added to Vanguard? Do you think this would be a really good idea for them to implement? Is this something that would bring you back if you're somebody that's dropped off of Vanguard? And also, if they do bring this Ground War mode into Vanguard, what do you think about the idea of not having your kill-death ratio stat count in this particular mode, just like War from COD World War II? Do you like the idea of having no KD counting, or would you rather your kill-death ratio be included in this mode? Just let me know all of those thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.